Kilo Foxtrot 7 Sierra Echo Yankee. Today I want to talk about how to use a Raspberry Pi as a USB serial server. I read an article in July 2020 QST about how to do this, written by Mark, November 8, Mike Echo. It's really easy on the Raspberry Pi side, but I found that how he did it for hooking up to it seemed a little harder than I think most folks would want to try. So I found another solution, a little bit easier solution, I think. So this is how I did it. So here I have my Raspberry Pi 4, which I have Build-A-Pi loaded on it, KM4ACK Build-A-Pi. If you haven't seen his channel, I highly recommend going over and watching some of his videos on how he does Raspberry Pis. It's phenomenal. So moving forward, I'll open up a terminal window here and I'll make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So the first thing you want to do is sudo apt-get install serial to net. And it's going to say I already have it because it's already installed, but that's okay. So once you've done that, you want to sudo nano /etc /serial to net.conf. It's going to open up this file, and you have to put in a line that takes the serial connection to TCP. So port 6000 is the port we're going to use. You can use whatever port you want. I just kind of followed the instructions that he had in the article. You can read about how all this stuff works, but raw is all raw data. 600 is a timeout. /dev tty USB 0. That's the port that's the USB that's being used for my radio. 38,400 is the baud rate for the radio. 8 data bits, none, and 1 stop bit. Once you put that in here, you save it. And reboot your Pi is the easiest way. You can also, there's another way to do it in the article. I can't remember exactly what that was, but rebooting is the easiest. So once you've rebooted, it is now, that serial server is now running. So to test it out, you can open up FLRig if you have that installed. I have FLRig running with my FT950. So what you want to do is go to your setup, your transceiver setup. Whereas, like I said, I have FT950 hooked up to mine. You could use, KX3, KX2, any radio you would normally use hooked up to your USB port through serial. So you go to TCP/IP. And since this is local to my Raspberry Pi, it's 127.0.0.1, and the TC port 6000. If you remember that from the settings we put in the config file, you select this little use TCP, and it'll connect, and voila, you're hooked up to your radio, running serial to TCP. So once you've done that, you know it's working. You can switch to your other computer or a computer. You want to download and install HW Virtual Serial Port, and I will put a link in the description below on where to download that. So what you do is you pick a COM port that's not being used. So I went up to like COM25 because that way I know whatever I plug in, I won't ever get to that. You type in the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. In my case, that's mine. And then the port 6000, if you remember the port that we had in the config file. Once you've got all that, you hit Create COM. And you can see we have a connection with the Raspberry Pi now on COM25. So I can minimize that, and let's open up, I have Ham Radio Deluxe. We'll open that up. Now remember, the radio is hooked to the Raspberry Pi and I'm on a different PC. So I've already set it up here. I've set up COM25 at 38,400 and I'm going to hit connect, and voila, you can see that I have rig connection with Ham Radio Deluxe through the network, my local network, to the Raspberry Pi, which is hooked to the radio. Alright, so let's say you want to use your Raspberry Pi portable for like Parks on the Air or Summits on the Air or just out and camping, and you have Raspberry Pi hooked up to your radio same way, but you want to connect with your iPhone or iPad. This is how you do it. Now if you have an Android, as far as I know, Android doesn't work this way. Android has something called OTC that you can actually hook your USB directly to it and run it that way. So first thing you want to do is go to the App Store and download Hamlog. Once you have Hamlog installed, you will go to Tools, select Pigtail, go to Remote, type in your IP address of your Pi, go to Settings, type in the 6000 TCP port that you used or whatever, and hit Control Now. And you'll see that it's connected to my FT950. I can change the frequency. I can manually input the frequency. And once you've done that, you can go over to the log and hit New Contact, and you'll see that the frequency and mode is displayed there. I'm going to switch it on my radio, and you'll see it switch to sideband. And that's it. Great way to have a portable logging setup. Well, that's about it. I think I have. So hopefully this helps somebody and be helpful to you. So 73, and thanks for watching.